boxing. You guys should check out Calderon Boxing on YouTube. It's awesome.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Calderon, Stand Clear Entertainment, and we're about to get into this week's boxing talk. 8th division world champion and icon of boxing, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, takes on WBA undefeated welterweight champion, Keith one-time Thurman, in one of the most anticipated fights of the year of 2019. This is a matchup that's going to be taking place in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand, and it's a great matchup between the old lion versus the new lion. This is a very, very good, intriguing matchup where a lot of people are crediting Manny Pacquiao for his career of an icon legend. You know, they believe that Manny Pacquiao is going to win this fight based alone of who he really is. A great fighter, an excellent fighter that at the age of 40 years old, this man still is a dangerous fighter for any one of the top welterweights in the division today. And I have to agree with them, you know, because Manny Pacquiao, I'm a big fan of his. I'm also a fan of Keith Thurman. I see this fight more of a 50-50 fight because of the age factor of Manny Pacquiao and what I have witnessed throughout the last couple of years of Manny Pacquiao's performance. He's still performing at a high level. He's still a very fast fighter with explosiveness. He has good punching power, but he hasn't been the knockout puncher, the whirlwind that he has been in over a decade. It's been a very long time. We saw a glimpse of his punching power and his knockout performance when he fought a very faded and bad Lucas Matisse that was on his way out, that hasn't looked very good in a lot of his performances after he lost against Victor Postal. And Manny Pacquiao took advantage of that situation and was able to take care of Lucas Matisse in very spectacular fashion. But that's the only Manny Pacquiao that we have seen in over a decade that looked that good since the days of Ricky Hatton when he knocked him out flat, and also David Diaz when he won the lightweight title. This is a different Manny Pacquiao. He's still very quick. He still has very good footwork. He throws those punches from different angles, and he's an aggressive fighter. He recently fought back in January when he took on Adrian Broner, and he put on a good, solid performance against Adrian Broner. I wasn't that much impressed with the performance of Manny Pacquiao. He did what he had to do against Adrian Broner, who always does what he always does. And he never really throws a lot of punches, and he doesn't fight back that much. He was able to land a couple of nice right hands on Manny Pacquiao, and that's the only thing that I took away from that fight. But Pacquiao got the win. He moves on. He's still the biggest name in the welterweight division. He is the cash cow of the division because he's such a huge global boxing star in this sport. And Manny Pacquiao, you have to respect him. This man has been fighting for more than 25 years, and he has an incredible resume that he takes on all comers. And at this age, at this stage of his career, he's still fighting top-notch guys. And that's why I love Manny Pacquiao, because he's going up against a young, undefeated fighter who is a world champion and considered perhaps the #1 welterweight in the division right now. We still have Terrence Crawford, who's considered pound for pound, to me, the best fighter in the world, but he hasn't proven himself at the welterweight limit to be crowned #1. Also, Errol Spence is a hot ticket in the welterweight division. This man is a beast and perhaps the best also in the division, but he hasn't proven it just yet. I have him as the #2 guy in the welterweight division until he faces the other champions and cleans out the division to earn that spot as #1. Keith Thurman, in my opinion, is the #1 welterweight in the world because he beat Danny Garcia, who was an undefeated fighter and a world champion. He beat another top-notch welterweight in Sean Porter, and he climbed his way up to the welterweight division against solid opponents, and he won those 2 back-to-back fights where he unified the title and he remained undefeated. Now, he took a long layoff due to injury and also personal things outside of the ring where he was out for more than 2 years. He came back against Josecito Lopez back in January. He looked pretty sharp. To me, he did look pretty sharp in the beginning of the fight. He was able to drop Josecito Lopez, but then as the fight went on, he got caught and he was in bad shape, very hurt, and he was about to get knocked out. So a lot of people are taking that into a factor and saying that if Manny Pacquiao gets him into that type of trouble, Pacquiao's going to be able to finish him. I have to agree with that to a certain degree. If Manny Pacquiao gets him in that bad of shape, I believe Manny Pacquiao has the ability to finish him off. But this is a different Manny Pacquiao. The same Manny Pacquiao that had Jeff Horn hurt late in the rounds at round 9, I believe it was, and he couldn't finish off a guy like Jeff Horn. The same Manny Pacquiao that dropped Chris Algieri 6 times and couldn't finish him off. You know, this Manny Pacquiao is not the Manny Pacquiao that was knocking out Miguel Cotto a decade ago, that was battering Oscar De La Hoya into submission. You know, this is a different type of Manny Pacquiao. Still good enough to win a fight in a 12-round decision because he throws a lot of punches. He's a very active fighter, you know, with throwing a lot of combinations from different angles. You know, he has to go to the body to hurt Keith Thurman because I believe Keith Thurman is weak to the body and that's where he's most vulnerable. But Keith Thurman is a younger guy, a bigger guy, fresher, and I believe that Manny Pacquiao is going to have problems with Keith Thurman if Keith Thurman elects to box. It has been proven throughout Manny Pacquiao's career that he could get outboxed. We saw it against Marquez. In most of their fights, we saw Marquez outboxing Manny Pacquiao where he didn't get the decision, but many people felt that Marquez did enough to win in those fights because he did outbox Manny Pacquiao. We also saw earlier in Manny Pacquiao's career when Eric Morales in their first meeting outboxed Manny Pacquiao. And then you have, of course, Floyd Mayweather, who a few years ago outboxed Manny Pacquiao. So Manny Pacquiao can get timed, can get outboxed, and I believe that Keith Thurman has the ability to use his foot movement in there to be able to use a solid jab because he does have a solid jab and he does have boxing abilities as a boxer puncher. He does have very good solid punching power, but he's another guy that hasn't been knocking out people and living up to the name of one time. But he has enough power, like he said in his face-off against Manny Pacquiao. Once I hit Pacquiao, I'm going to hit the respect button. And I believe that he will get Manny Pacquiao's respect once Pacquiao sees that this man can punch and he is dangerous, because Pacquiao can't just walk through him like a lot of people are suggesting. They're saying that Pacquiao's going to go in there and just annihilate Keith Thurman. If he does, then Manny Pacquiao is definitely back on the pound-for-pound list, and he is etching another notch on his belt as an icon legend, and he deserves everything of a Hall of Fame career, which has already been cemented long ago. Before he even faced Oscar De La Hoya, he cemented his Hall of Fame career. But Manny Pacquiao, like I said, at this age, fighting at this level is an incredible story of a great fighter. And you got to tip your hats off to him and commend him for such a great fighter that he is. And he's willing to take on the best. But Keith Thurman, to me, is still a live dog in this fight. Very close to 50-50%. I edge Thurman slightly in this because, like I said, he's younger, he's bigger, he's hungry. You know, he didn't have no strength and conditioning coach when he went into the Josecito Lopez fight, and that's a factor because he wasn't in the right shape. He came back, you know, I'm not going to make any excuses. He did look good to me in that fight, except for the 7th and 8th round where he had that hiccup, and it was a very big hiccup because he was about to get knocked out. But I believe now that he has 2 strength and conditioning coaches that are getting him in the best shape that he's possibly can be for the biggest fight of his career, I believe you're going to see a much better condition, much better stamina Keith Thurman in this fight, where he's going to be able to box more, knowing that he is the bigger man that can impose his will, and he's going to have to back up Manny Pacquiao like the way Miguel Cotto did early on in their fight, the way Floyd Mayweather was able to do in certain spurts in his fight, and the way Marquez was able to do so as well. Now, these guys are levels above Keith Thurman, all around better fighters, Hall of Fame fighters. And Keith Thurman is still etching his way up the ladder to try to prove to people that he is going to become one of the best in boxing today. You know, a lot of people say because he hasn't faced guys like Errol Spence that he hasn't proven himself. Errol Spence hasn't proven himself either because he hasn't been able to face a guy like Terrence Crawford, or now, you know, he's supposed to be fighting Sean Porter, but, you know, he just has wins over Lamont Peterson and Kell Brook, and that's just not enough to crown him as the #1 top guy in the division right now. You got to give that respect to Keith Thurman until Keith Thurman is knocked off. And right now, this is a big fight matchup that's going to be taking place this weekend, and it's going to have a lot of eyeballs to see how good is Keith Thurman. It's a no-win situation for a guy like Keith Thurman. He's supposed to be the guy that's 40 years old, supposedly past his prime, which I don't think he's past his prime, but I know that he's not where he was 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. Manny Pacquiao is a different type of fighter, and people are clinging on to the image of the great Pacquiao that he always was. But this Pacquiao is a different type of Pacquiao. Make no excuse, this is not going to be an easy fight for Keith Thurman. This is going to be a tough fight, a very good fight that is going to go 12 rounds because I don't see either man knocking out each other in this fight. I see this fight going the distance, and it's going to come down to a split decision. It's going to come down to the volume of punching and the awkward style of Manny Pacquiao with his speed and his experience that's going to carry him throughout this fight. And it's going to be up to Keith Thurman to initiate a game plan where he's going to have to time shots on Manny Pacquiao and try to outbox Manny Pacquiao using the jab, using the lateral movement to be out of harm's way, to be able to engage when he needs to engage, to be able to pull away with a very close decision in this fight. But this is how I see this fight playing out. I see Keith Thurman etching out a very close decision by 12 rounds over Manny Pacquiao. You got to look at it this way. Keith Thurman is looked upon as the PBC star in the making, young undefeated fighter who's very talkative in his trash talking, and this guy is a model for PBC and Al Heyman. This guy has opened up the PBC since day one for their launching on Primetime Network. They've been grooming this guy to become the next star, and this is the perfect fight opportunity that if he could get a win over Manny Pacquiao, his stock skyrockets, even though it's a no-win situation because he's supposed to beat a Manny Pacquiao at 40 years old. But if he loses to a Manny Pacquiao at 40 years old, he's labeled as a hype job and a guy that was never really that good. And that's the no-win situation for Keith Thurman. But if he wins, the sky is the limit. He is the A-side in the welterweight division because that win is a significant win on his resume along with Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. This man had unified the division, and now he is still a world champion and still undefeated. It is a very big fight for Keith Thurman to win. I believe that he is hungrier. He's doing a lot of mind games right now with the trash talking, trying to get Pacquiao flared up. I know this man has been around for 25 years. He's seen it all. He's been in there with the biggest punchers, the best fighters in the world. He's had people trash talk him before, trying to get under his skin. But I believe that this game plan right here by Keith Thurman, being so bashful and coming at him and making all the funny jokes and attacking Manny Pacquiao in a sort of respectful but also disrespectful way, because he gives Manny Pacquiao his props. He knows what he's in there with, but he's also playing a mind game with Manny Pacquiao to get Manny Pacquiao to be more aggressive, to come after Keith Thurman, to prove that he can knock this man out, that what he did to Lucas Matisse, he could do it again, just like he did to Miguel Cotto. This is the Manny Pacquiao that they're trying to bring out, but it hasn't been the Manny Pacquiao in a decade. So Keith Thurman asking for that Manny Pacquiao might get his wish, and it might turn out that Pacquiao destroys him. But if Pacquiao is not that same fighter, like I believe he's not that same fighter, then I believe that he's going to go in there with the wrong mentality of trying to knock his head off and trying to be overly aggressive, walking into shots where you're going to see Keith Thurman boxing more and being on his bicycle than actually going toe-to-toe with Manny Pacquiao. You're going to see Keith Thurman pick his shots and try to counter Manny Pacquiao coming in, similar to the style of what Sean Porter did when Sean Porter was very aggressive, coming in, leaping in with his shots and trying to get off. Pacquiao comes from different angles, much quicker, much dangerous as a southpaw with his style, of course. Much better than a Sean Porter who likes to smother his punches when he comes in. But Keith Thurman was able to create some distance and catch him coming on the way in. And I believe that's the same type of method that he's going to be game planning with Manny Pacquiao, is to catch Manny Pacquiao with time shots and setting up his quickness with the left hook and the straight right hand down the pipe against his southpaw. But that's how I see this fight playing out, and I can't wait. It's going to be on Fox pay-per-view, and if the numbers that I believe that's going to do way more than the Adrian Broner fight, which did over 400,000 pay-per-view buys, is definitely going to put him in the driver's seat when it comes to negotiation against Errol Spence, because he has the resume better than Errol Spence. He's already unified the division. He's still undefeated, and he will have the numbers to back him up. What's good enough for him to say against Terrence Crawford that his numbers are better because, of course, Mikey Garcia, than Keith Thurman's numbers because of Manny Pacquiao, is going to be the factor when he goes to the negotiation table and he says, I'm A-side. What's good for Errol Spence and his train of thought and his boxing fans is also good for Keith Thurman and his legion of fans. But that's my take and final analysis on the upcoming fight this Saturday, so tune in to Fox pay-per-view, Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman for the WBA Welterweight Championship of the World. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to this YouTube channel right here, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. Please hit that little red subscribe button, hit that bell icon, put your email information in so you get all my notifications once I drop a new video. Hit that like button, that share button, drop a comment. Follow me on all social media platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, and join the Facebook boxing group page, all under the same name, J. Calderon Boxing Talk. I'm J. Calderon, Stan Clear Entertainment. Thanks for your support. Keep watching, and please subscribe.